بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وبعد. قال الشيخ المنقح علاء الدين المرداوي الحنبلي تغمده الله برحمته واسكنه فسيح جنته ونفعنا به وبعلومه وعلوم مشايخنا في الدارين آمين. I think we've read this part, but let me go through it to make sure that we've covered it. وأنكرت الملحدة والرافضة العلم بالعقل. I am reading from page 1768. وأنكرت الملحدة والرافضة العلم بالعقل. الملاحدة, the atheists, some of the atheists of these times, والرافضة الشيعة الرافضة, the ones who call majority of the companions kuffar, من الرفض يعني, yes, the rejection of the companions. They denied logical certainties, or al-aql reaching certainty, the intellect reaching certainty, لتناقض قضاياه لاختلاف العقلاء. And their شبهة is that العقلاء, intellectuals, disagree. So we have here contradiction amongst them. Whom do we believe? This intellectual or the other intellectual? This is claiming something and the other one is claiming its contradiction. وهذا تناقض منهم مع أن العقل حجة الله على المكلف. And this is actually their contradiction. They are the ones who have a contradiction, as the intellect is the proof, or the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against al-mukallafeen. You are responsible because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you this proof, this intellect, which is your way of reaching evidence, which is your way of reaching guidance, and it's the proof against you. So when you are asked, why didn't you believe, why didn't you do that, or this will be used against you. Haven't you had an intellect? That's why the ones who are called insane from a shar'i fiqhi perspective, they are not mukallafeen, they are not responsible for their actions. Yes? Because I record YouTube videos while recording these videos as well, it's like I want people to come and read this. It's written here. You see, al-aql is proof against you. This is the tool that you have to use. Al-Quran full of these things. People do not listen. An'am, animals, cattle, they do not listen. This is not the problem. You know what the problem is? Why do they talk about religion? I know, khalas, you are busy. You're not really into al-ilm. Why do you still discuss the masail of al-ilm? Why don't you just discuss something else? Art, cinema, football. طيب, how do you explain that different intellectuals have contradictory positions? He says, واختلاف العقلاء لقصور علم أو تقصير في شرط النظر واختلاف العقلاء لقصور علم أو تقصير في شرط النظر. Intellectuals disagree and contradict each other or one another because of a deficiency in their knowledge. They didn't acquire knowledge properly, or a deficiency in one of the prerequisites of al-ijtihad. So maybe he is an intellectual, but on this mas'ala he was not qualified, or he was not having enough qualifications to practice al-ijtihad on that mas'ala in particular. ثم جميع ذلك شبه. All of these things are shubh, they are not evidence. The evidence of the opponent, the weak evidence of the opponent, which is called shubha, the plural is shubh. لا أثر لها مع العلم. All these things that you say in order to deny the existence of logical certainties or the ability of the intellect to reach certainty. By the way, whether it's a logical certainty or a certainty or a different type of certainty that is constituted by the intellect. So either or. All these things do not have any effect. All these evidence, all these shubha do not have any effect if we consider certainty that is actually acquired, because it's like الحسيات لأنها كالحسيات. It's like what you experience by your senses. I can't deny what I experience by my senses. I can't easily deny what I experience through my senses or so. مع أن النظر يختلف فيها والسماع. However, there are differences between يعني النظر مع أن النظر يختلف فيها والسماع يختلف أيضا. يعني when you practice الاجتهاد, when you receive something by your senses, يعني these are different things. How we understand the difference, but it's the same paradigm. It is something that is evident, certainty, logical certainty, or certainties that your intellect realizes are similar to things that you experience by your senses. It's the same paradigm as I said. طيب. I think I explained this before, I do not need to repeat everything that I said earlier, this is enough. وقالت اليهود من شرط التواتر ألا يكذب به أحد وهو باطل. The Jews or the Jewish said or required that in order for المتواتر to be متواتر, in order for التواتر to happen, we cannot allow that anyone denies it. So if there is one person who denies it, then التواتر is not valid. And the Shaykh says that this is actually wrong. Why? Because someone, because of his desires, because of his hawa, because of some agenda, insists on denying something that has been mutawatir, or because the tawatur never reached him. He does not know that it's mutawatir. The denial of some people is not taken into consideration here. Yes, it's not taken into consideration here. And since when people agree on anything, and if not the divine, then there is no hope for people to agree on anything. That's why we consider in al-ijma', we consider the agreement of al-mujtahideen scholars. قوله وهو لفظي كحديث من كذب علي ومعنوي وهو تغير الألفاظ مع الاشتراك في معنى كلي كحديث الحوض وسخاء حاتم. This is the matn, this is التحرير itself. And now we are going to read what he said in التحبير. He says التواتر لفظي ومعنوي. التواتر اللفظي يعني the تواتر of the word, ومعنوي يعني the تواتر of the meaning. Yes. فاللفظي اشتراكهم في لفظ بعينه. The تواتر of the word is that the narrators or that everyone agrees on the same wording. We might allow slight differences, very slight differences, but generally the same wording. كقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم من كذب علي متعمدا الحديث كما تقدم الكلام عليه وعلى طرقه وعدتهم. As we've already explained يعني in the hadith of من كذب علي متعمدا, this is a hadith that reaches the level of التواتر and the tawatur of the same wording of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. من كذب علي متعمدا, not any other word that delivers the same meaning. As we've already discussed this before, he said, and he talked about the different roots and the number of narrators. والمعنوي, the tawatur of the meaning, تغير الألفاظ, different wording or different wordings, مع الاشتراك في معنى كلي, while agreeing on a general meaning. كحديث الحوض, like the hadith of the fountain, الحوض, أعني حوض النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the fountain of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, كما تقدم قريبا, as we explained earlier. وسخاء حاتم وشجاعة علي رضي الله عنه وغيره. سخاء حاتم الطائي, one of the Arabs, he was generous, his generosity reached the level of التواتر. Same thing, the bravery or the courage of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib رضي الله عنه, and other things. طيب, how does it happen? He says, وذلك إذا كثرت الأخبار في الوقائع واختلف فيها. طيب, the courage of Sayyidina Ali, different incidents, different expressions, different wording, yes, however, they all lead to the same meaning, that he was a brave person, a courage person, a brave one. Same thing when it comes to the generosity of Hatim, وهكذا. وذلك إذا كثرت الأخبار في الوقائع واختلف فيها. So a lot of reports on يعني different incidents or incidents with differences, لكن كل واحد منها يشتمل على معنى مشترك, but every incident has a meaning in common. So they all share one meaning in common or some meanings in common, على معنى مشترك بينها بجهة التضمن أو الالتزام. A common meaning that طبعا when he says بجهة التضمن أو الالتزام, a common meaning among all of them, even if this meaning is not the direct meaning that you benefit from the report. يعني even if it requires you some analysis to find this meaning. فإن the report you have the meaning X, but X either leads directly to Y, or X includes the meaning of Y. And I have now explained the idea of الالتزام والتضمن. However, when it comes to اللزوم والالتزام, that A leads to B or X leads to Y, you see how X directly leads to Y? I've explained before, like variations, and I think the mashayikh would be able to give you maybe a link to a dars in which I sat to read parts of حاشية الصبان على شرح الملاوي على السلم المرونق in Aristotelian logic or logic or so. Yes, to explain more the idea of الالتزام واللزوم, but this is the general meaning that we have here. طبعا if the report originally indicates this meaning, يعني if it directly gives you X, or if it directly gives you Y, and the meaning we are searching for is Y or X or whatever, خلاص alhamdulillah. But also if the report does not give you this meaning directly, but it gives you this meaning because it's included under the meaning that it gives, or because the meaning it gives leads you directly, and I am focusing here on directly because I guarantee that if it leads directly to another meaning, then it is something that we consider. But I do not guarantee that if there are so many mediums that it would be something that we consider. Because the more mediums we have, the more possibilities we need to allow. And with the allowance of possibilities, you are weaker in your investigation or in seeking it as evidence. Yes, وإذا تطرق الاحتمال بطل الاستدلال, as we say in Arabic, and this is the same meaning. If we allow a possibility, then seeking evidence is invalid, because there are more than one possibility. If we allow possibilities, we have more than one possibility. How are you going to choose one of them and leave the others? Unless there is a factor or an element that makes you favor one and eliminate the others. طيب, حصل العلم بالقدر المشترك. طب, we usually benefit certainty from المتواتر. Yes, we benefit certainty here when it comes to the thing that happened in common, the thing that was actually reported, the meaning that they have in common. So this is what you are certain about now. وهو مثلا, for example, bravery or generosity ونحوها and similar things. In these cases, I do not need to explain وغيرها ونحوها. In these cases or in this context, this is peripheral, not important at all. But sometimes in a proper متن نحوها وغيرها, they have to be explained because they have a lot of meanings that they carry. But here they do not really have any important meanings يعني إن شاء الله. ويسمى التواتر من جهة المعنى. It's called the tawatur of the meaning, or the tawatur from the perspective of the meaning. وذلك كوقائع حاتم فيما يحكى من عطاياه. يعني, and this is like what happened with حاتم الطائي. What happened يعني that he was a generous person, gave away a lot of things. من فرس وإبل وعين وثوب ونحوها. Used to give like horses, camels, fountains, maybe عين يعني fountains and clothes and other things. فإنها تتضمن وجوده فيعلم وإن لم يعلم فيعلم وإن لم يعلم شيء من تلك القضايا بعينه. So when he gives a horse to someone, gives away a horse, when he gives away a camel, so in order to give a camel, this is an expensive thing. In order to give a horse, it's an expensive thing. For this includes it, the meaning of generosity. It does not, or it leads to it, يعني the way, however you want to see it. صح? However you want to see it. Either it leads to it or it includes it. And this meaning becomes mutawatir then. Even though you do not have generosity as a clear, direct theme in any of the reports. Yeah, it as a theme, maybe it exists as a theme, but it's not said, it's not mentioned, obviously. وكقضايا علي رضي الله عنه في حروبه مع أنه من أنه هزم في خيبر كذا وفعل في أحد كذا إلى غير ذلك، فإنه يدل بالالتزام على شجاعته، وقد تواتر ذلك منه وإن كان شيء من تلك الجزئيات لم يبلغ درجة القطع. Also, when we talk about Sayyidina Ali and his bravery in his wars and his battles, that he won these wars, won the war of Khaybar, or that he defeated the enemy in Khaybar, defeated or did so and so in Uhud, and the other incidents, this leads to the conclusion that he was a brave person, yes, and we believe that this has been mutawatir from him, even though it was not mentioned in any of these incidents, and even though these incidents, or every individual among these incidents, does not reach the level of tawatur on its own, but there is one meaning in common between all these incidents, or among all these incidents. قال ابن قاضي الجبل, one of our great scholars in the madhab, التواتر المعنوي كالعلم بشجاعة علي وسخاء حاتم مع اختلاف المخبرين في الوقائع الدالة على ذلك لاشتراكها في المدلول، وإن كانت جهة دلالتها تارة بالتضمن وتارة بالالتزام، وكثير من الوقائع على هذا الوجه. ثم قال: قلت التواتر المعنوي تغاير الألفاظ مع الاشتراك في معنى كلي، واللفظي اشتراكهم في اللفظ. انتهى. Ibn Qadi al-Jabal radiyallahu anhu mentions here the same thing that we've already read. We have different narrators, different reporters of the same thing, not the same incident but the same meaning, and they all lead to the same thing. And here I mentions the idea of التضمن, the inclusion or التزام, that one thing leads necessarily to the other thing. And he says that a lot of incidents are like that. So it's not strange, it's common actually that a lot of incidents are like that. And he concludes the same thing that Shaykh al-Mardawi began with, and he defines al-Tawatur al-Ma'nawi, and he defines al-Tawatur al-Lafzi. This part is repeated, but he quotes Ibn Qadi al-Jabal because he was a great authority, as you understand by now, hopefully, إن شاء الله. وهذا الأخير الذي قاله حسن فلذلك ذكرناه في المتن بدلا من الأول فإنه أوضح. What he said here is better and clearer. That's why he mentioned it in المتن. Yes? Clearer than what? I'm not sure. تواتر الألفاظ تغير الألفاظ مع الاشتراك في معنى كلي واللفظي اشتراكهم في اللفظ. I am not sure. Yeah, maybe there is a change. I'm not really sure. نعم. قوله أصحابنا والأكثر العلم الحاصل به ضروري. The position of our scholars in the majority is that the certainty you acquire through al-tawatur is necessary. So it does not require nazar. It does not require al-ijtihad. I think we need to cover this in a separate dars. So let's stop here. We will read next time from قوله أصحابنا والأكثر العلم الحاصل به ضروري. والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلي اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.